And joining us now is New Hampshire Governor Chris Sununu. Governor, thanks for taking the time to swing by CBS News. We appreciate it. Good to see you.
Good to see you, Bob.
So let's begin with your state, the Granite State. A lot of Republican presidential contenders, maybe contenders, are heading there. Is this Republican race at this stage pretty wide open, in your view?
Oh, yeah. Look, we're still months away from the first debate. The average voter won't really decide who they're voting for about 3 or maybe 4 weeks, if you're lucky, before the actual election. So we're talking till after Christmas, and you're going to have probably maybe 10 debates between August and December. You're going to have candidates rise and fall. You're going to have the ups and downs, new political discussions, new issues of the day. So there is so much to still be played out here. I know we're all itching. We're in the game, so we're all itching for it to happen. But there's still a long way to go, which means a lot of opportunity for candidates to make their case.
New Hampshire, though, in the past, for at least the last couple cycles, has been Trump country politically when it comes to the Republican Party. Is this still a place where Trump has a big base?
Oh, well, he definitely has a big base. Look, he's got a big base all across the country. You can't deny that. Anyone with a 25, 30% kind of locked-in vote, and I think that's a realistic number, is a big base. I think he's polling very well right now because there's a lot of sympathy, if you will, over what's happening in New York. When people say, are you going to support Donald Trump, they say, yeah, we support him because they see what's happening in New York. They want to show that support. They think it's very politically driven, which it is. I mean, I'm with them on that. But that doesn't necessarily translate to a vote 8 or 9 months from now. And so that's why I think we're all excited that there's a lot to play out here. There's still a vast majority of Republicans that are looking for someone to engage with. They're looking to see candidates step up, whether it's name them, Mike Pence and Nikki Haley, Ron DeSantis, maybe even myself. We'll see where it all goes, but there's going to be a lot of folks on that stage and a lot of politics to play.
Are you leaning in or out?
You know what? I don't believe in being coy. I really don't. But I'm kind of all over the place a little bit in that I'm talking to a lot of folks. There's a lot of folks that want me to get in. My mission right now is I'm a team player. I want the Republican Party to get bigger. I want to make sure we have more independents. I want to make sure there's more younger voters back on the team. We kind of disenfranchise them. I want to talk about the best parts of what we believe in, which is limited government and local control, low taxes, individual responsibility, not big government solutions. I think when we talk about that, we get people excited to get back on board. And otherwise, I think we get distracted with a lot of these other, what I would call ancillary issues, but aren't core to actually bringing this country back. So I just want to be the best team player I can, and whether that's me in the race or out of the race, I'm not sure exactly what it means. I'll probably make a decision in the next month or so, just because that's the logistics timing that a candidate would need to really make sure that they, meet all the markers, get ballot access, and make sure that they can run a truly competitive race.
Former Vice President Mike Pence recently told me he will make a decision by late June. Is it fair to say that's your time frame as well? Late June, you'll have a decision?
Oh, by late June at the latest. Yeah, you can't really go beyond late June because ballot access itself, or making sure you have enough small donation donors, which is going to be a metric for getting on the debate stage. And if you're not on the debate stage, at least early on, that's really going to be the biggest filter, if you will. And then those barriers will get a little higher as we go deeper into the fall. And to make those barriers, you're going to have to get in a little earlier. So I think late June is the rough date for pretty much everybody.
You seem to be everywhere I go as a reporter. You're there, you're speaking, you're telling the New Hampshire story. It seems like you like doing that, traveling the country, talking about your work in New Hampshire. So I have to wonder, are you interested in being on that first debate stage this summer?
Oh, there's no doubt. Look, I have a lot of interest in getting on the stage. I love debating. I love having it out. I love bringing kind of an optimism, talking about results-driven leadership, like not just talking about policy. Policy's easy, right? But to actually show a record of results. As a 4-time governor in one of the most successful states in the country, I'm incredibly proud of what we've done here. And I think it's a model that really does translate. And I think folks want to see that. I think folks are dying for someone in Washington that understands how systems work. A small state governor is exactly what this country is looking for, because it's somebody that engages with constituents, knows these systems, understands the community issues that are most impactful to individuals. I think that would be really exciting to bring that type of opportunity to a debate stage where typically you sit at 30,000 feet and debate policy, with 1 or 2 lines here or there, as opposed to someone that really gets into the issues. I think that's something that could get folks excited.
Have you looked into how you could be on that stage and maybe be only in an exploratory phase? Is there a way for you to be on that stage without being a formal, full-throated announced candidate?
I think there is. I mean, technically, if somebody wanted to do that, I mean, you could have an exploratory committee. I think the rules would allow that. I don't know what the point of that is. Either you're in or you're out at that point. I mean, I firmly believe if you're getting on the stage, then you're running for president. It's hard to think anything other than that because there's all these other hurdles that you will have to go through. So I think that's where it is. I think if somebody's on their stage, they're, for all practical purposes, a declared candidate.
Years ago, then Iowa Senator Tom Harkin ran for president on the Democratic side, and everyone said, oh, he's from Iowa. We're just going to kind of ignore Iowa. That's Harkin territory right now. If you run, everyone says, oh, it's such a blessing to be from New Hampshire. But in a way, it could be a political burden because you're typecast as the New Hampshire candidate. How would you deal with being shrugged off by some as the New Hampshire guy who's only going to play in New Hampshire?
Yeah, no. So just the opposite. So even if I didn't win New Hampshire, I'd be toast, right? And even if I won, people would say it's not enough. So no, the play isn't. If I decided to run, I think there's a huge opportunity, not just for myself, but for all the candidates in a state like Iowa. You know, only about 17% or so of Republicans actually participate in the Iowa caucus. 80% of Republicans don't even engage. That's a huge opportunity to engage on new ideas, new issues, get folks excited again, bring voters to those caucuses, as opposed to just kind of keeping it to the extreme elites, so to say. So I think there's an awesome opportunity for a lot of candidates, not just myself, to really use Iowa as a launching ground by doing it a little differently, not just the conventional way, because this Republican Party is transforming. And I think we should be transforming for the better, right? Not for the extremes. And I think there's great opportunity there to bring kind of that new optimism, that new opportunity again, if you will, to bring more people in, and then use that as a launching pad into New Hampshire and then the other states. You can have significant states like California. That's on March 3rd, I think, next year. That's an early state. That's congressional district by congressional district in terms of the delegates. Big opportunity for a lot of candidates to play in there. That'll be very interesting. So I think those early states overall as a package are going to be very interesting and provide a lot of opportunity to a lot of candidates. So if you're just banking on one or two states, you're missing the picture.
Okay, let's say you go to Des Moines, Iowa. You get into the race this summer, and they say, Chris, who? Who are you? What's your one or two sentence introduction to that Iowa voter who has no idea about who you are?
Well, look, I think any candidate has to go and be about themselves first, right? And what I'm trying to bring to the table is I'm the guy that's able to get stuff done no matter what hand I'm dealt. And unfortunately, I mean, if you look at former President Trump, for example, he was given Republicans in the House and Republicans in the Senate, and he still didn't give us health care reform. He still didn't drain the swamp. He still didn't secure the border, right? So I've got a record. I usually have Republicans. Sometimes I have Democrats. Either way, I always get my conservative agenda done, and we bring a very different approach in terms of how to do it, right? We don't sit there and scream at people and yell at people and only play to a base and only play to extremes. I think my team kind of approaches it the right way, what America is looking for, with a more optimistic view and, again, that record of success. I'm not just promising I might do something. I'm saying, look at my record. Look how we've been able to do it. Look how we can connect with you and your family and your business on the issues that are driving you every day, not just this fluffy policy stuff or political stunts. We really engage folks one-on-one. I love doing that. That's why I love my job. I love engaging with people.
Former President Trump having a CNN town hall in New Hampshire, coming to your state. What's your view of what that event reveals about where he is as a candidate?
Well, I got to say, I think it's a great move. I think it's a great move on his part and CNN's part. He's understanding that you don't just go to the typical conservative media outlets like a Fox or something like that. You got to talk to voters everywhere, wherever they're getting their information. And my guess is it's whether it's CNN or others, whether it's Trump or other candidates. Most other candidates can and should and will be engaging with all these different media sources, I think, as this thing progresses. So I think it's a great thing for the Republican Party, because if you want to win, if you want to be a winner, you got to engage everybody. You can't just kind of rely on a locked-in base. So strategically, I think it's a good move, but he's got to perform. He can't just get up there and play the victim card. I know he's getting a lot of press off of that right now, but he's got to explain, why didn't you drain the swamp when you said you would? Why didn't you secure the border when you said you would? And you can't go blaming other people. I mean, this is politics. Blaming somebody else for not getting your agenda done, well, that's like the Bruins blaming the Florida Panthers for beating them in 7 games the other day. You don't blame the other team because they won. That's just acknowledging that you're the loser, right? And so we want winners. We don't just want people that fight. We want people that fight and win, fight that bring results. And so he's got to explain why he wasn't able to do that the first term, what fundamentally is going to change, and how he can truly win in November. Because if he can't show that, we as a party are going to move on to another candidate.
Trump is showing up in New Hampshire, but it's not clear he is going to show up at that first debate. Should Trump be there on the debate stage?
Of course. You cannot stand in front of America and say I'm a fighter, but I'm going to wimp out and not get on a debate stage and engage in the fight, engage in the kind of that debate that has to happen on issues and what you're about, right? You can't wimp out now. So, I mean, I think he's going to be there. I think this is a lot of talk myself. And the message is just really clear. You know, cowboy up, get in the saddle, show us what you got. Because if you want to be the leader of this country and the leader of the free world, you got to show that you can still bring your fastball.
Do you think Trump still has his political fastball?
No, that much is clear. I mean, look, even when he comes to New Hampshire, these other events, you don't see the energy, you don't see the fire. You see him playing a victim. It's kind of the woe is me, poor me, that DA is beating up on me in New York. And guess what? I actually sympathize with him on that issue. But that does not translate into why we should vote for you again, right? So he plays that victim card. You can't be both the victimizers become the victim, the fighter has become the woe is me guy. So he's trying to have it both ways, and eventually that he's going to have to kind of pick a path here. You know, you can't be all of kind of a you can't have a spectrum of phoniness. If you're going to be a phony, you got to pick your lane. And so he's going to have to try to figure that out.
Trump is on the march in many polls, continues to gain traction. Are you still confident in your statement that he will not be the Republican nominee?
No, well, yes. I mean, look, he could be the nominee. Let's be very clear. I think he's doing much better today than I thought he would be doing a few months ago. I think the DA issue in New York has drastically, pushed his polls 20 points higher than they otherwise should be. I think some of the other candidates aren't surging like I think we thought they might. So that's creating opportunity for him to galvanize an even bigger base. So I give him credit. I think he's playing his political card correct today. But at the end, we're still 8-9 months away from the first of the nation primary and over a year away from the convention. So we don't count your chickens before they hatch. I think we've all learned that game in politics. So I just think there's so much more to play out. Could he be the nominee? Yes. But my true belief is that Republicans are going to remember what happened in November of 22, remember the losses that we took with him, his candidates, and his messaging, and say, we don't want losers. We don't want losers. We're tired of losing. We're going to go after and nominate winning candidates, whether it's on the presidential side, the Senate side, the gubernatorial side. We don't want a presidential candidate that drags the rest of the ticket down. That's exactly what happened in 2018, right, when we lost the House, 2020 when we lost the presidency, 2022 when we should have had 53 or 54 U.S. senators and we're stuck with 49. We have been losing, and Trump has been the leader of the party under 3 losing campaigns, back to back to back. The only thing worse than being a 3-time loser is being a 4-time loser, and none of us want that.
Do you have any advice for House Republicans on how to handle the debt limit?
Look, I think the House Republicans have done a great job. My advice to Joe Biden is act like a leader. Do your job. If I saw Kevin McCarthy pass that bill as Joe Biden, I would have picked up the phone immediately and said, all right, let's get this thing done. Let's negotiate this thing out. And the fact that Biden and the Democrats, I mean, the Republicans have shown capitulation. They've shown some willingness to give in and raise the debt limit, which we typically don't like to do. So we're giving in on that. And the Democrats are saying, no, we're not going to give in. But what happened to the Joe Biden that America voted for, that we were all led to believe? I didn't vote for the guy, but the rest of America was led to believe that he was going to work across the aisle. He's shown a steadfast inability and unwillingness to do that. So I think the House Republicans did a great job passing a bill, but now it's up to the Democrats to be able to come to the table and say, okay, we'll meet you in the middle and make sure that we're doing right by America, not just playing political games.
What's your assessment of Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, who continues to be attacked by Trump? He's taken some trips abroad. He's passed a 6-week abortion ban in his state. Is he still a real contender in your view?
Well, of course. Look, Governor DeSantis right now is second in the polls, so you can't say he's not a real contender. I think a lot of us were surprised to see the poll number dip. I think he's made some moves that aren't ideal for a presidential candidate. But again, a lot to play out, a lot of opportunity for him and other candidates to kind of show what they're about, get on the stage. I think everyone's waiting to see, who can take a punch, who can give a punch, right? Who's going to just be yelling at each other and who can bring some optimism and opportunity and be results driven as opposed to just being all about political stunts. And that's not just a criticism on Ron. I think there's just a general sense of that of all the potential candidates. You got to be substantive. There's got to be a there, right? And again, having a sitting governor like Governor DeSantis, I think puts him in a strong position to show results, as it would, I think, for myself or any other sitting elected official. If you've been able to get stuff done, you can talk about it, brag about it a little, show that opportunity to bring that type of success to the rest of the country. So again, a lot of politics to play out for everybody.
Trump has taken you on, said you should have ran for Senate, launched a Senate bid. You heard those comments. Have you spoken to him since then?
Yeah, I spoke to the former president last September. When we were working on I was trying to get him to endorse the one of the Senate candidates in the primary here. Look, if Trump's criticism of me is that I should have run for Senate, then my criticism of him is he should have won and not dragged the rest of the ticket down. So, we can kind of go back and forth with criticisms, but at the end of the day, people just want to know what you're about, what you're bringing to the table. I think all the name calling and stuff is a little bit silly. It doesn't. I'm from New England. I got a pretty deep sense of sarcasm and self-deprecation, so you can't really say anything that's going to hurt my feelings. But I just know that we had got a lot to play out. A lot of good ratings potentially on that debate stage. I think a lot of folks will be tuning in all across the country to see what these candidates are about, and we'll kind of have at it then.
And what's the percentage that you're on that stage too?
What's the percent chance that I get on that stage?
That's right.
Well, heck if I know.
Hey, you're the engineer here. I'm trying to speak numbers to the engineer.
Well, I appreciate that. I do, because you can see me starting to run numbers with the slide rule going like crazy in my head. Look, I think I'm 50-50. I think that's a really fair assessment. I'm kind of 50-50. I'll make the decision soon. Getting in is easy. Running hard, and I think running for the opportunity in Iowa and New Hampshire in these early states, that would be a lot of fun, and I think there's a huge lane there for a candidate like myself. But it's got to be right for me, my family, and most importantly, the party. I don't want to do anything. This isn't just the Chris Sununu show. It really, I think, as a team, we have to understand where we can be the most effective to make sure that we're turning things around, because this Biden administration is a disaster. I mean, it really is a disaster. You've never seen an administration so disconnected from what's really happening on the ground, so disconnected from inflation, so disconnected from energy costs, so disconnected from the rampant crime and homelessness that's plaguing the cities of this country. They just close their eyes. They're not even looking. And so there's just such a humanitarian need for a change in the White House, a change in the federal government that finally says, you come first. It ain't about us. It's about you, the voter, you, the state, you, the city, you, the town, you, the local planning board, you, the school board. That's what we've been doing. That's our model in New Hampshire for over 200 years. And I think that type of attitude, and then back it up with real action and results at the federal level, would be an absolute game changer for America. And that's the opportunity that Republicans can bring in 24.
Sounds like a stump speech to me. Governor Chris Sununu of New Hampshire, thank you.
Thanks, Bob.